Next, from Pilot Point FFA, Mr. Aiden Bickers.
Hi. Imagine that you've been walking from one side of the rodeo to the other repeatedly many times in those boots that just kill your feet. Now double this pain and you're just guessing at what it feels like in cattle to have bounty. Hi, my name is Aiden Bickers and I'm from Pilot Point Junior FFA. This is my second year to compete in the commercial steer competition. I learned a great deal last year, including general feeder cattle knowledge and nutrition, care, and handling. I also learned how to keep accurate records and books. I know I'd learned a lot from this competition. However, I did not realize how much I continued to learn after the competition was over. After the competition, I began to look over my records, and I noticed that after a long ice storm, my cattle had a decline in their average daily gain. I began to wonder, what could have been the cause of this? I began to discuss it with my family and sent them to help us during the show. At first we thought it was just cold weather, but then we began to believe it could have been founder. We were familiar with foundering in horses since my mom is a horse trainer. However, we were unaware cattle would suffer from it too. After learning of founder in cattle, I decided it best to learn more so I'd be more prepared in the future. My first question was, what is founder? Founder, also known as laminitis, is the pathophysiologic disturbance of the microstructure of the corium in the claw. Calling this condition laminitis can be misleading because more than the laminar region can be affected. Laminitis is divided into 4 stages: acute, subacute, chronic, and subclinical. Acute and subacute laminitis are very painful conditions. Cattle may show signs of disease by arching his back and keeping his legs under his body. Sometimes the cattle will cross front legs and spread hind legs far apart. Another thing they may do is repeatedly shift weight from one foot to another and spend long amounts of time lying down. Heart rate and respiration will be increased, and there may be a pronounced digital pulse. The hoof will appear normal, but will feel warm and be sensitive to the touch. Often these animals will go off the feed. Chronic laminitis, sometimes also known as slipper foot, is marked by distortions of the hooves. The hoof will appear thin, flat, square-toed, and heavily ridged. This is more than likely caused by a series of laminitic incidences. The changes in the hoof will not appear until several months after initial foundering. Subclinical laminitis is not characterized by lameness. However, the animal will be predisposed to foot lesions that result in lameness. Subclinical laminitis can be diagnosed before the onset of lameness by examining the tissue in the sole for hemorrhaging and examining the sole horn for yellow discoloration. Changes in the hoof will not appear until 2 to 3 months after initial foundering. Causes of laminitis include things such as injury to the foot, toxins from infections, and foot rot. However, the most common cause is believed to be heavy grain consumption. Feeding large amounts of carbohydrates can result in a condition known as acidosis. Acidosis causes endotoxins to be released in the bloodstream. These endotoxins then inflame the tissue in the hoof. The inflamed tissue then releases histamine. Treatments for acute and subacute laminitis include things such as antihistamines, corticosteroids, or pain-reducing drugs. Standing in cold water may help with the pain and keep the animal on its feet. Standing in warm water may help with circulation. There's some debate on which is more helpful. The only treatment for chronic laminitis is to treat it at the acute stage. Treatment of subclinical laminitis is not possible because the animal shows no immediate sign of disease. Prevention is required to avoid this form of founder. Preventative measures may include things such as providing adequate amount of roughage. When or if introducing grain, start with small amounts and increase gradually. Also, any changes in feed should be done slowly. Another thing that may help is feeding more frequently instead of feeding large amounts at one time. Through this research, I learned valuable information that I applied to this year's project. I believe my last year's project suffered from acute laminitis. At first, me and my family thought it was just cold weather, but after this research, we now believe the cold weather helped by keeping their feet cold, wet, and providing a soft surface. I also adjusted my feeding program to reduce chances of acidosis, therefore decreasing chances of laminitis. Thank you.
Good job, Aiden. I was looking at, because you're talking about the health of your cattle, I was looking at your health expense page, and it says that your cattle were preconditioned. And I don't know what that means. Would you tell me, please, sir?
Preconditioning means that prior to purchase, the buyer had given something to them to help with health. In my case, he gave them a 7-way vaccine.
Aiden, I got a real tough question for you. What year in vet school are you in?
I'm not in vet school. So
How old are you?
I'm 11.
11 years old. That's pretty amazing. You're a stud. All right, I was looking at your cattle. Did you think, in your opinion, Aiden, were you pleased with how well your cattle were finished? Did you think they were finished, or were they kind of underdone? What do you think?
I was not extremely pleased with the way they finished. If you read the conclusion sheet in the back of my record book, you would know that we are thinking of buying different cattle with less exotic in them because we believe the exotic peaked too late.
All right, excellent, Aiden. Way to go, bud. Proud of you.